This is the Heel of the Face podcast. Brandon, are you finally ready for some football?
Oh, yeah. XFL, baby. Let's go.
XFL, forget 2 weeks for the Super Bowl, man. We've been waiting almost 20 years. DC, Tampa, they all kick it off next week. Who cares what's going on in Miami? That has nothing to do with the XFL. This is the Heel of the Face podcast. Starts right now.
So silence your cell phones. Hold your applause. And tune into the truth.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
Getting beat up by 9 guys in Syracuse, to me, there's not a whole lot of shame in.
From the 315 to the world, this is the Heel to Face podcast.
The cream of the crop. Wow, man, freaked out.
Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Heel to the Face.
I said, are you ready?
From Armory Square in downtown Syracuse, New York, let's send it now to Brandon and Jared.
Bad luck seems to be my middle name. They might as well tag me up with my buddies from Syracuse.
The XFL starting in less than 2 weeks. We're excited for that because this is a wrestling podcast, as this is always the Heel of the Face podcast, joined by Brandon Icebreaker Clements to my right or left, however you're watching or listening to us. Myself at K-Rock Jared. We're coming off of the Royal Rumble, and it's kind of to say that the XFL is in part of this, but that's what Vince McMahon does. If Vince McMahon owned the NFL, I guess this would be a Super Bowl pre-show, because we pretty much, well, it's not so much a wrestling podcast, but I guess a Vince McMahon podcast.
Yeah, sure. I mean, XFL coming soon. I'm a football fan, so I'm excited to see how it goes, and hopefully it's not going to end up like the Alliance of American Football. That was the
XFL of
original,
like
the
20
original, like 20 years
actually,
ago.
more importantly,
yes.
We're coming off the Royal Rumble this past weekend in Houston. I posted a few videos while I was there. I am K-Rock Jared. This is Brandon the Icebreaker Clements. Said that once, but you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at those accounts. And most importantly, follow the show on Twitter at Heel to the Face. That's where we post the links for this show. That's where I posted the videos in Houston. And I guess that's where I want to start this show off. Before we get into the bones of the Royal Rumble, you know, I did attend the event, so let's go over maybe a few things I can say for actually being live and in attendance. One thing that I still have a complaint about the WWE, and I've had a complaint about this for many, many years because pretty much I only attend stadium shows, is the way that they set up the ring. Now, WrestleMania, for some reason, they do a little bit better job for WrestleMania, but the Royal Rumble the last 2 years, it's been in a baseball stadium, and I had lower level seats, which weren't floor seats. I was smart enough because I actually could have got floor seats for the same price that I paid. But I was smart enough not to get floor seats, got some lower level seats, and even those were a little, let's just say, too even with the action. You want to be elevated over things. You want to be able to have a better view of things. As for that entranceway where they come out of, probably looked great on TV, but if you saw, not really great for fans in attendance when you're coming out a narrow way and you're coming out at eye level with the fans.
Yeah, I noticed that was kind of odd.
I mean, it's the same as it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, it came from the dugout, so it was kind of it was kind of odd. I mean, Edge still got the pop, so I mean,
now,
I don't think it changed
you bring that up.
but
Edge got the huge pop. I personally didn't really pop for anybody all night. I would have popped for CM Punk. I didn't pop for anybody all night for the fact that...
Wait, hold on, backtrack. You didn't pop for Edge? Really?
No, I didn't.
Why not? It's Edge. Edge is the legend. He's a Hall of Famer.
I mean, because of the fact that I did see it coming. I mean, I would have... There was really no surprises in the Royal Rumble in my eyes. This Royal Rumble had...
MVP?
I popped probably most for MVP.
Really?
Yeah, I probably popped most for MVP.
Really?
Because of the fact that was a surprise to me. I didn't look it up.
See, it wasn't a surprise to me.
See, because you probably saw on Twitter, I saw after the fact that people from their hotel rooms across the street were taking some pictures of them practicing inside the stadium.
I saw that.
And I did not see that until after the fact, and I'm lucky
Here's the thing.
I didn't do that.
I was hesitant to go hog wild on the whole, Edge is definitely back. Because here's the thing. It's happened to us before, where as fans, we're like, oh, so-and-so is going to be in a match. You know, this person's going to be in, and guess what? It doesn't happen.
I popped more for Edge at SummerSlam because that was a complete surprise.
See, here's the thing. I was super pumped for Edge. I
would have popped for CM Punk.
Here's the thing, though. Even though you knew Edge was coming in your mind, you didn't know what number.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you
That's
don't know what
still a surprise.
I mean, yes, they're all essentially surprises. But overall, I mean, that's probably the only surprise. I was really, and I brought this up on the post video I posted, very surprised by the lack of NXT in the men's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, well, how many was there in?
2. I counted Matt Riddle and Keith Lee.
Yeah, that's... And by the way, both had poor showings, too, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy the back and forth I saw on the scoreboard. I mean, that's probably how I watch most of this event, is on the scoreboard. And I loved the Brock Lesnar, and I think they cut to it just on purpose. That kind of the same as Suplex City, where, you know, that took off because everyone kind of saw him mouth that back in the day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a scheduled promo. But did you see the Brock Lesnar when he lined up with Keith Lee and they showed him and he pointed to Keith Lee and he's like, "Who's this MFer?"
Yep,
you know,
I
with
did
that
see
look
that.
on his
I
face.
did, yep.
And that got a big pop in the stadium, you know, because that's kind of what, you know, Brock Lesnar, he kind of, he gets it out of you a little bit, that kind of, that real reaction, that whole, he doesn't have to be PG. So I enjoyed that aspect. But other than that, the men's Royal Rumble really lacked any great surprises. And the women's Royal Rumble, I thought, fell real flat. I mean,
it was awful.
We were missing Sasha Banks. We were missing Ember Moon. I thought maybe we'd get a Nia Jax return.
We didn't get anything we wanted.
And I guess my question is, and I have this for you, Brandon, why do people pop for anybody? And what I mean by that is, I don't care that Kelly Kelly's a legend. Kelly Kelly's garbage. I mean, people were popping for Kelly Kelly. I mean, they forget that Kelly Kelly comes from a day that we didn't have a women's Royal Rumble. For good reason.
Well, here's the thing. I think the fans popped. I mean, I didn't get that excited. Watching it from the couch, I didn't get that excited about Kelly Kelly. I was like, oh, that's cool. She's here. And I watched it with our old friend of the program, Paul. We were Green. He was watching. We were watching together. And I think he was more excited just to, check out the good side of it, But
well, I mean, she's very attractive.
She still looks great, yeah.
But and how about the NXT? I can't even think of them at this time. I think like Tegan Knox or something. How about the NXT people that literally I did not feel alone. This was what's nice about attending these things in person, is you can tell when you don't know somebody, because I mean it was flat. Like when Tegan Knox came out, everyone's like, who the hell's this?
Well, here's the thing.
Or the other NXT girl that came out that, I mean, nobody knew.
The Chinese girl.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who she was. I mean, I know who Tegan Knox is. I mean, she did really well in the Mae Young Classic. So, like, a lot of schools, like a lot of the fans that are well schooled and well versed in.
I knew the Chelsea Greens. I knew the Dakota Kai.
Yeah, that was bad for Chelsea Green, though. She was out real quick. That was, I mean, you're supposed to be building this character up with her and her new manager or whatever you want to call her.
I might have popped the most for Beth Phoenix, even though. We're and I don't mean to say this, but when Beth Phoenix came out, when she came out, I was like, all right, Edges in the men's.
Well, that's what I said too. It was kind of funny. I'm like, well, they're probably here together then, So it was that was fun. And then Beth got gashed up there pretty good too. Like you saw her her head.
Yes, when she got bashed.
Well, she hit the back of the turnbuckle.
Yeah, hit it. Yes.
Yeah, she hit that pretty hard.
As a reaction.
She did good. I mean, that was she did very, very well. I'm very happy with what she did. I mean, she still has, again, she can't go full time, but I don't mind her in maybe, this is a bad example because I don't like it, in the Brock Lesnar sense where it's kind of, he comes in or she comes in every so often and just puts on a match or does a quick storyline. Maybe even like a Chris Jericho did where you come in for a little bit, do a couple, maybe do a short storyline, go back to the booth, do whatever. It's just like she's good enough to do it, I think.
With the women's Royal Rumble, because it is 30 women, it is very tough to have, because you don't have that thick of a roster. The men, I mean, there's dozens of people. They could have a 60-man Royal Rumble with just the guys on the main roster. You could have the Street Profits, that's 1 and 2. You could have more New Day. You could have more tag teams.
The women's Rumble sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked because here's the thing. And going into it, I don't know if I'll have to check the tape, but I think I did say Charlotte Flair was going to win. So I think
you did.
I think I'm 2 for 2, which kudos to me. But I didn't like it. I thought it sucked.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair needs to stop winning these things. It's so
I get it.
She's
sick of Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, she's like the new version of Roman Reigns that I know you didn't like. I've always been a Roman guy. Same thing with John Cena, just getting shoved right down people's throats. And to me, it's annoying because you have so many talented women, whether it's on the main roster. NXT,
that's why I picked Ember
ridiculous.
Moon, because I figured it was time. I know we're going to have somebody that we're familiar with, a Bayley or a Becky Lynch in the women's championship matches at WrestleMania. So I thought maybe we could have like a new opponent. Lacey Evans is a good example. Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans. That intrigued me because she's a newer opponent. It's not just Becky Lynch versus Charlotte, Becky Lynch versus Asuka versus Charlotte.
It's all recycled
it's
shit,
it's a little different, and that's why I said Ember Moon. I feel that she was a big enough name to maybe this time it could be Ember Moon, and she's on the WrestleMania truck that was parked outside. So I figured, okay, this makes sense. She's big enough to be on the truck. She's going to be in the Rumble. She looks healthy from what all accounts I've heard. Ember Moon versus Becky Lynch, that provides a new challenge. Or even Ember Moon versus Bayley. Charlotte Flair. So it's going to be Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch in your main event.
So, like, the Rumble was so forgettable. The women's Rumble was so forgettable for me. Bayley wasn't in it, right?
Bayley was not in
Becky
it.
Lynch?
No, Bayley was not in it. She's the champion. So Bayley defended against
Becky wasn't in
Lacey
it.
Evans in a match.
Yeah, but Brock Lesnar was the champion. He was in the Royal Rumble. I mean, for different reasons. But, we'll get to that in a minute.
That was part of a storyline. Yeah. The ones who Lacey Evans, for example,
there was a lot of
omissions.
omissions. Like, where's Trish Stratus? Where's Lita? I mean, where's some of these legends?
I feel like Lita would have been better. Trish Stratus, she's supposed to be retired. That was her last match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's just like anything else. Are you really that retired?
No, I'm glad that Trish Stratus in it because we don't want it to be more bogged down by, just the men's Rumble's fine to do that in the sense that it's a rarity. Not all MVPs.
Yeah, but she would have gotten a pop, unlike the Chinese girl that was from NXT or Tegan Knox.
Shayna Baszler. There you go.
Yeah,
I would have rather seen Shayna Baszler or Rhea Ripley or something like that.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm in for that.
I was in for them over Tegan Knox. I was in for them over Kelly Kelly.
It's the same
Shayna
thing.
Baszler over Kelly Kelly? Really? You would rather seen Kelly Kelly?
No, I'd rather have Kelly Kelly over Tegan Knox. I'd still throw her. I would have to. You have to still throw. They do it anyways. Mm-hmm. Nostalgic, pieces. Which, by the way, there wasn't that much nostalgia on the men's side this year. That was interesting. I think who did we get?
MVP,
we got MVP, and then we got Edge.
Yeah,
and then the rest of it was mainstays in the business right now, not retired. Legends, quote unquote.
I was thinking Booker T, the fact that they were in, but obviously then Booker T came to the announce table. One thing about the women's Royal Rumble is you knew that none of the people who were in the match. Last year, for example, Becky Lynch, who was in a championship match, won the Rumble later in the night. But the problem with the Rumble being so early before both championship matches that you knew Lacey Evans, Becky Lynch, Asuka, and Bayley were not going to be in the Royal Rumble because their matches were still yet to come.
Yeah, I thought the way the card was kind of done was kind of odd.
It kicked off very nicely.
I thought
I
it was
enjoyed
odd.
that first match to kick it off.
What, the women's Royal Rumble?
Not the women's Royal Rumble, the Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin.
Yeah, that to me that was I thought that was a throwaway match, to be honest with you.
Anyway, I thought it was very entertaining. With the one thing is, again, adding from being there, those matches are not made for people in attendance.
No,
you can't see anything. We're all watching the board in that place.
I enjoyed Andrade and Humberto. I thought that was a decent match.
Yeah, no, I did get to watch that from the concession stand areas. I saw that as I was entering the stadium that night.
Worst match of the night, though. What do you think? I thought the strap match was awful. That match sucked. That was awful. And
worst match of the night?
Yeah, that was
probably.
bad.
I would say Bayley Lacey Evans. I didn't really enjoy that.
I don't know, man. I thought both were strap match, and the thing is, the reason why I say it's the worst is because I expect more out of Bray and Daniel.
I didn't like the finish. I thought it was very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was to me. I that was the time for me to go hit the head real quick or go grab a drink. That's where I was at that point. I didn't enjoy it. I was very disappointed because when you have Bray and you have Daniel Bryan like in a match together, usually there's a little bit of magic there. I just thought it was boring. And actually, not to get too far on a tangent, but breaking news today: the Bella twins are both pregnant. A
little bit of twin magic right there.
Yeah, and the babies are due within a week and a half of each other. I was reading, so interesting stuff. So on the Daniel Bryan note, congratulations to him and Brie, and then Nikki. And
congratulations on getting what you finally wanted in all those Total Divas episodes I watched with you and John Cena.
Yeah,
with somebody else.
Yeah, Nikki and Artem from Dancing with the Stars. So good for them.
But one of the things, and kind of add on from being in attendance there at the Royal Rumble. Obviously, I add on that I didn't like the setup at all. I don't really even understand why they set the Royal Rumble up a little bit different than WrestleMania, for example. Why they do the dugout thing versus, coming out from center field where the scoreboard's right there, where they can be elevated over the crowd. And one aspect that I feel that I don't understand is whenever they're indoors for a WrestleMania, they don't have to have that setup over the ring because they're indoors. But for some reason, the last two Royal Rumbles, they've had that kind of setup over the ring with the beams and stuff. They weren't necessarily in my way or anything like that, but it just added more Like, you don't need this kind of setup. You can just really use the ring lights. I don't understand really why they can't use the sound system already built into the stadium and then come out through center field and come out at an elevated angle. And one thing I want to gripe about that if I was asked Vince McMahon, I would love to ask him this. Why, if you watch any of the early WrestleManias, even the ones in Atlantic City where your view's not horrible, when you're in a stadium of any kind, I don't understand why you can't elevate the ring. Go back and watch WrestleMania 3, go back and watch WrestleMania 6, and the one thing you will notice is when you were looking at a shot of the ring, you are not, when people stand up, they are not blocking the apron that says WrestleMania 6 or WrestleMania 3. The ring is elevated. It's perfect for everybody. It's perfect for those in the back. It's perfect for those in the front. It makes them larger than life. I'm not asking, I don't know how much money this costs. I don't think it costs a ton.
For
when you
Vince,
go to a concert, the musicians are on a stage. It's called the stage.
Jared,
they don't perform at ground level.
Let me cut
with
you
it.
off there. Is there really a lot of money for a guy like Vince? I mean, is that really a lot of money? I mean,
No,
he's a
I
billionaire.
mean, what do you got to put out some pallets, essentially?
Here's the thing, too. What that would create is some really interesting spots, too. So,
Well, you don't even have, I'm not saying elevate the ring from, like, by itself, making the ring taller. You can elevate the entire area
You
where
can
the
see-
ring is. Meaning,
but-
so when they're outside the ring, when you watch WrestleMania 3, when they're outside the ring, they're still on level ground. It's just like when you're coming from the entranceway, when you watch, like UFC, for example, well, I guess that's still, I feel like the ring is still a little elevated in UFC a little bit.
UFC, it's up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're not.
I'm not
like,
saying
you're not eye level.
I'm saying
so
the whole
to speak.
area where the announce table is, where the timekeeper is, that whole area is raised up. So when you would walk down to the ring, you might take 1 or 2 steps. I mean, literally maybe 1 step up, and then that whole area, like when you throw them over the ring, that's all the same level.
Oh, okay.
For example,
I got what
when
you're
the
saying.
Final Four is in these stadiums, the court is raised up.
Yeah. It's on.
I mean, you see it when you watch the benches and stuff like that. You see
they have to literally walk upstairs.
Yes. The court is raised up. So that's essentially what I want to see at WrestleMania or at the Royal Rumble. I don't want to see just the ring. I want to see that whole area raised up. You know what I mean? Like, for example, so have an area like the court raised up and then put the ring in the middle. Like
I mean, just make sure you email Vince or tweet him. Maybe he'll.
So I would
he'll
like
listen.
to see that. One thing I noticed, another thing about this Royal Rumble, and it makes me kind of wonder if we're moving to stadiums next year. We're keeping on the stadium thing. Is it wasn't treated as big this year as it was in years past. There wasn't all the banners all over the city. There was one on the stadium. They didn't have their own cup. They didn't have their own program. They didn't have a Royal Rumble access. Obviously, we knew that SmackDown and Raw weren't in Houston. It just didn't have that feel that Phoenix had. It had a better feel at the stadium. Felt it was more sold out. Felt it was a more vocal crowd at this year's Royal Rumble versus last. But it didn't have, I guess, the WrestleMania aspect when it comes to
How much for tickets? How much did you spend? A lot?
$50.
Really?
Yeah, $50. I had a lower level seat.
That's not bad.
But the problem is, lower level. I was about 8 rows off the floor, which is nice. But I mean, you're in a stadium. I would have probably actually might have rather been in the upper deck because it's with the ring being on the floor.
Get a better vantage point.
Yeah, with the ring being on the floor, it's a little tough. But I mean, overall,
did you get your tickets beforehand or after?
I got my tickets. When did the Royal? I want to say 4:30.
You did that.
Yes.
Oh, Jared. You are one of those. You got a lot of balls to do that.
Yeah,
man.
I was out to dinner at Biggio's, which is a nice restaurant, named for Greg Biggio, right next to the stadium.
Yeah, naturally.
I bought my tickets on StubHub. They were a local pickup, so I actually had to, while dinner, I had to step out, Uber down the street, pick them up, and then Uber back to the restaurant, finish dinner, and we walked over to the stadium.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, you got a lot of stones to do that, man. Because I would have to get my tickets ahead of time to make that trek.
I wanted the best seats, best price. I wanted the two to mix together. So it took and there was still lots of seats available, even though it was, I think at the end, sold out for the most part.
Yeah, it looked pretty full.
Yes, it was more full than last year. But
For sure.
They were actually creating seats at the end. That's why they still had tickets available, because they created some extra floor seats, which I could have bought for about the same price. I avoided it because anything that sounds too good to be true is true. When they're like, you can be on the floor for $50, that sounds like I don't want to be on the floor for $50.
Sounds like you don't want to go there. You might as well not even go to the show.
That's row 100 behind a pole.
Yeah, good luck. It's like you ever seen Ready to Rumble? where they're like next to a pole and like one guy's like leaning his head in to like watch.
Yeah,
I
know. I'm pretty smart when it comes to stadiums and floor seats.
Yeah, you are. You go to enough of them.
Yeah, so when it comes to stadiums, unless you're sitting close, you don't want floor seats. Because I had 7th row for Monday Night Raw a couple years ago, and I didn't even really like that. I thought, sweet, I'm on the floor, 7th row, because I was on the 7th row on the other side of the entranceway, and because the entranceways aren't as high as they used to be, the rings aren't elevated. People hold their signs up. To see stuff.
Yep, that's why. I mean, I went to Raw a few years back in Buffalo, and I was like 3 rows on the camera side. That was cool. No signs, thankfully.
You just want to be like a little elevated.
I would like to be in the mid level. Is where I'd be, like where you're on TV still, but like no one's putting a poster in your face.
Yes,
so you can watch show.
I did actually find a nice spot to watch. I didn't end up staying there, but long line for the bathrooms. That's one thing about girls at wrestling shows. They get the perk of actually having short lines. At wrestling shows.
Well, yeah, there's not as many
long line
females,
wrestling shows.
yeah.
So I went up to a stairwell to the 2nd level, and it was a closed off 2nd level that only had the WWE employees standing behind where they're about to shoot off the pyro.
Yeah.
So the whole floor was black, and the bathrooms were open, but no lights were on. But I had the bathroom all to myself. I used my phone to light the way into the bathroom. Went in the bathroom. It was completely pitch black. I went in there, did my thing, no lines, and then I went back down the stairs where a security guard at the bottom of the stairs, different stairs than I took up, gave me that look of like, how did you just come from there? Like they weren't doing their job, but I digress.
That's cool.
Houston, great city, great place to host the Royal Rumble. I love going to the events. It's awesome when it's sold out. It's awesome when the crowd's into it. It's awesome to get booed with like 40,000 people when you're cheering on every one of Brock Lesnar's eliminations. I love that. I mean, yes, it wore itself out after a little bit, but I enjoyed it. It was something different, but that's just me.
It wore itself out before it even started, because that whole night you can ask our good friend Paul. Him and I were talking about you, like the only person in the crowd that's loving it is you.
I love it
because you're the only person there that likes Brock Lesnar. Nobody cares about Brock Lesnar besides Jared, and it's funny because Jared's background, of course, going to 2 CW shows back in the day, Mr. Indie Wrestler. Wants a guy who's a part-time wrestler. It always boggles my mind. And like, if anybody would like Brock Lesnar, you think it'd be me.
He's not really a part-time that much
Yes, he
anymore.
is. He's a part-time guy. He doesn't even talk, like, really. Like, oh yeah, he talked to Keith Lee, but like he doesn't even talk. He stands there and looks and flexes his shoulders and his arms. Like, great. I wish I got paid to do that.
2 more surprises on the front of big guys. Surprised not be there. Cain Velasquez and Kane himself. Also not there.
Yeah, Kane and Kane.
Both
Yeah, Kane and Kane weren't there.
Surprised that neither of them were in the Royal Rumble.
I would have put money on Kane and Kane. One of them.
Yeah, I mean, Cain Velasquez made it pretty clear that he was going to be at the event.
So does he return on SmackDown this week? Maybe.
I mean, your guess is as good as mine.
It's SmackDown after Royal Rumble, even though it's
like
going to
be a part of this Super Showdown? I was kind of disappointed because they put up. The Super Showdown is running at probably the wrong time because you're at the Royal Rumble and they put up a commercial that amplifies it, a once-in-a-lifetime event. Nothing beats it. Super spectacular. You're like, oh, how many days till WrestleMania? And then it said Super Showdown. And you're like,
oh, that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's stupid. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Are you ready for WrestleMania? You going to that too this year? Is that
of course. I already have my tickets for that. We're already good to go.
What's the streak now? How many years?
There's be 6, I think, in a row.
Wow.
6 WrestleManias in a row. I think 8 overall.
Well, you took a year off one year?
Well, I took a couple years off. I didn't go. It wasn't planning to go every year. I went 1 year, and then 5 years later went again, and then a couple years later went again.
So it wasn't been going ever since.
And then as soon as I realized I could do it, I do it. So
why not? I mean, and plus, backtracking to Houston, that had been a fun city, the Royal Rumble, like just traveling there.
Yes.
Houston had been really fun.
I mean, I posted a video. If you watched this week, if you haven't, go back. I went and saw the Astrodome.
How awesome!
I didn't go inside, but I went and saw the Astrodome next to NRG Stadium, which is home to 2 major WrestleMania events. One, obviously, WrestleMania 17, the best WrestleMania of all time in my eyes and many's. And then WrestleMania 25 at NRG Stadium.
Debatable.
WrestleMania 25 at NRG Stadium, probably one of the best matches, Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker.
I
enjoyed that better than the retirement versus career match because, well, it's the first time. It's the more organic matchup.
Yeah, it's not forced,
Yeah.
No, the Astrodome had been fun. I'm a huge fan of the Astrodome. It's obviously you're not going inside because that place is.
It's still up. I think they still do stuff there.
No, I don't think they do anything there.
Well, I mean, I don't
It's not safe.
not a stadium, but I think they still have like flea markets there on occasion. And
Yeah, it's
stuff
not.
like that.
It's I was gonna say it's not in really great shape.
Cool neck down the street from Emmond or whatever, Minute Maid Park and Toyota Center was a brewery called Eighth Wonder Brewery. And it was pretty much called Eighth Wonder in dedication of the Astrodome. And it just was like all Astrodome themed, ticket stubs, old seats. And in keeping in the Eighth Wonders theme, they had a bunch of
Sweet.
Andre the Giant stuff, which I thought was really neat.
I like that too.
But it was a pretty cool looking place. Moving on to when Worlds Collide. NXT won that 3-2 on the main show, 3-3 overall if you count the pre-show.
Yeah, NXT. I mean NXT. Not surprised. I mean UK had a good show though. They put a good showing on. I thought it was a great card. I enjoyed it. I mean, honestly, that Finn Balor match with Dragunov, that would Dragunov would have got more of a pop if it was in UK, because Dragunov is very well known in UK. Mm-hmm. He's very well liked there. So like a lot of the United States fan base don't know him as well. So like to me, I thought that was like an A+ match, but with the interaction, the lack of crowd interaction, so to speak, I put it down as a B+ match. That's where I got
that's
it.
kind of the theme of the night, and not knowing people that well. The main event problem I had the most is it was Walter and a bunch of guys that I'm not really super familiar with, and most of the crowd wasn't familiar with a whole faction that is all household names. And that was, I guess, the problem I had on the night, is that I felt like it was supposed to be NXT UK's coming out party, and Walter definitely delivered, and many people wanted Walter in the Royal Rumble to take out Brock Lesnar, but
That would have been cool.
I mean, Walter was Imperium. Other than that, I mean, I felt like those other guys in the match, they didn't really use
They're good wrestlers.
They are, but
they're really good.
It wasn't really the coming out party for these NXT UK people that I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was for Toni Storm. I think she.
And she was in the Women's Royal Rumble as well.
I think Toni Storm was. I thought that was a great match between her and Ripley. That was fun.
No, and I think the most well known are Mustache Mountain. They put on a great show with DIY. I would have kind of preferred that they went over in the match. But I thought that was probably maybe match of the night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to get to that.
I really enjoyed the Cruiserweight match. I mean, that was fun nonetheless.
Yeah. That was a good match. I agree though. Mustache Mountain and DIY. That was the best match tonight, between the wrestling and the kind of like the one-upsmanship on the match. I got to tell you though, what's his face there from Mustache Mountain? He is not much to look at though. That guy's got like an average dad bod.
Oh, when they were doing the pose off and stuff. Yes.
He's like, yeah, you win. I was like, for all the dad bods out there, good for you. And here's the thing though, he can go. Like he's a good wrestler. I mean, he trained Tyler Bate, so I mean he's really good. I mean, he just doesn't really have the physique. I think that's the word, physique. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, but either way, I mean, it was an entertaining show. It was a short show, not shorter. I guess the NXT shows have this more or less reputation now to be these shorter shows.
How much older is Trent Seven though than Tyler Bate? Trent's got to be old. He's got to be in his 30s.
I mean,
right?
you say that because you see the gray hair that he kind of the white hair.
Because I mean, we know
think that's more of a gimmick, but
I know Tyler Bate is he was born in 97 because that's his move. Tyler Driver 97 or
Trent Seven does. I feel like Trent Seven is older. Yes, for sure.
I mean, his claim to fame kind of is he trained Tyler Bate. So I mean, he's got to be at least 10 years older than him, right? So that means he's got to be in his 30s, right?
Well, we'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. He just looks older. He just has that look where he's been around the block a little bit, and and the funny thing is he reminds me a lot of Kevin Owens in one aspect. He doesn't have like the greatest physique in the world.
Kind of reminds me of JBL.
Yeah, that's true. He does remind. I mean, that's the thing. He doesn't have the quote unquote physique, the 6-pack or whatever, like just jacked up. But the guy can go. Like, I don't know. I mean, he's got cardio for days. Like, he seems like the guy that rolls out of bed, doesn't work out, doesn't have to work out because he's got good cardio and just goes to work.
I want to end this show just talking simply to somebody who is a football fan. Now, the Super Bowl is this Sunday, and I can say that I've never watched, at least since a child, a Pro Bowl in my life. But I was at Biggio's bar, and the Pro Bowl was on the television, and they have these massive TVs there. So, I started to watch it, and maybe you can enlighten me. Is tackling taken out of the Pro Bowl in the sense of, is it actually now against the rules to tackle somebody?
I don't think it's against the rules. I just think guys are being careful, especially because.
Well, shouldn't they at least have to? I watched this thing and they weren't even going to the ground.
Yeah, I think it's all about player safety now. I don't think they're trying to do that.
So just make the rule two-hand touch, I guess, because that's what it was.
Well, here's the thing: nobody watches the Pro Bowl anyway. So
I mean, yes, I've never watched it. I thought I'd never watch it because I just wasn't that interested.
Here's the thing: and
then I watched it and I was like, I thought I wasn't interested before.
Well, dude, here's the thing: you know me; I'm a huge football guy, and I don't like the Pro Bowl. I think it's the worst All-Star game in sports. I think it's awful. I would rather watch hockey. The hockey All-Star weekend than anything with NFL. And you know me, I'm not the biggest hockey guy.
I guess it's too bad that the XFL isn't going up against.
One last note, I can't finish the show this week without making one note. I just want to say rest in peace to Kobe. That was a tough one. The Mamba. I mean, I'm a basketball guy.
I thought we were going to be the only show in the whole world.
I had to do it.
Every show, sports and non-show.
I have to do it. I have to do it.
I have to say it was pretty surprising. I heard about it when I was at the NASA Space Center they have in Houston. I was taking a tour of that when I heard at the gift shop, and I looked it up, and yeah, very surprising, very shocking.
Yeah, just to kind of close it out. It was tough because not only did we lose an icon like him, he lost, his daughter was with him as well, and then we also had the other passengers on the flight. One of them was he's a really well-known junior
baseball
college coach.
Yes.
So I mean that our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that was involved, anyone's affected by that. So I had to say it. I'm a basketball guy, so I just got to do one thing. I got to do my little fadeaway. Kobe.
And speaking of being in Houston, I know you weren't speaking of being in Houston, but one last thing: where's Michelle McCool?
Good question.
I knew we probably weren't going to get the Undertaker, but no Michelle McCool as a guest.
They probably asked, and she probably declined.
So you go off with saying Kobe.
Kobe?
I go off with saying where was Michelle McCool. But either way, we'll go off by saying next week we'll talk more WWE on the road to Super Showdown, I guess. There's no February. At least it's the only pay-per-view this month.
Yeah, whatever.
At least they're not doing that and an Elimination. Oh, wait. Are they doing Elimination Chamber? They are. I think.
Are they? I don't even.
Oh, goodness. Oh, no. That AEW, NXT, a little Abby. We'll talk more Royal Rumble. And I might have some more experiences to have brought back from Houston, Texas, nonetheless. But that's it for this week's edition of the Heel to Face podcast. For K-Rock, Jared, Brandon the Icebreaker Clements, Royal Rumble's in the books on the road to WrestleMania. We'll talk next week.
Peace.